Big Safe.
Fat Man Scoop, Brooklyn Clan. What's up, y'all? This is Fat Man Scoop. And right now, you watching the sensei, the number one, the king, my dude, Big Brando. He taught me, personally, me, Fat Man Scoop. All you gotta do is keep your mouth closed and your ears open. Listen to the man talk. That's knowledge personified right there. And I wouldn't trust nobody else but my dude, Big Brando. And I said it. Fat Man Scoop, Big Brando. Let's go.
What's happening, everybody? Boy Big Brando, and today let's talk about this thing. So we passed up 100,000 subscribers, which is really cool, but still really crazy to me. Now, most of you guys already know this, but I didn't take the normal traditional YouTube content creator route. Kind of did things backwards, but I also did it my way. I've been on YouTube for a few years now. And my first year or two, very rocky on YouTube. The reason I say that is because the content that I was making, not a lot of people were making that type of content like they are now. Back then, nobody was talking about transfers. Nobody was talking about transfers for a clothing brand. Nobody was talking about gang sheets. Majority of the information that was out there back then was about stock transfers, meaning they already have the graphic on the transfer and you're just ordering from stock designs and pressing them onto your shirt. So I've been using transfers for a very long time, and I've never used any of the stock transfers. I would send my custom designs to be printed on the transfer sheets, and a lot of the companies were offering gang sheets, and that's how I personally would order them. And back then, transfers were like $1 a piece for like a 19 by 13 sheet, so the margins were crazy, but nobody on YouTube was talking about this. So the more brands I created, the more t-shirts I made, the more money I made. A lot of my friends started hitting me up and asking same questions over and over. How do I get my wholesale license? How do I become a registered business? Teach me the print method. How are you making all these shirts? How are you stocking your inventory? All the questions that I still answer till this day on YouTube are questions that a lot of my personal friends used to have. So that's the reason why I created the channel, was so when a friend or family member would hit me up, I'd be like, yo, watch these videos right here. And I only had like 5 videos at the time. And if you look at the very first 5 videos, the first 3 is how to legitimize your business, registering for a DBA, getting your EIN, obtaining your wholesale license, resale permit, resale certificate, whatever it's called nowadays. And then the next 2 are about transfers. How to maximize your profits, increase your margins by using gang sheets, the transfer process on how it's done. Those videos weren't made just for YouTube people. Those videos were because I was getting tired of explaining myself to a bunch of different people, so I recorded the videos and then I would just send them the links, like, hey, check this out. I made these videos for you. Just check them out. It'll lay everything out for you. And then that was it. That was supposed to be the end of YouTube for myself. Not knowing that those 5 videos were gonna catch on and people were gonna have questions of their own in the comments. I didn't even think about that. So I used to just go back and forth with people in the comments, use this transfer company, do this is how I did this. And then I started getting more questions and more, and those videos ended up blowing up and they did good. They were providing information that really wasn't on YouTube at the time, and I made the information easier to consume, just the way I like to consume the content and information. That's how I was making these videos. So I just started answering questions in video form and putting them up on YouTube. That's the whole reason why there's a Big Brando channel. The name Big Brando is something that my homeboys call me all the time. That's been a neighborhood name since I was young. So the reason why it's called Big Brando is because that's what my homies call me. And like I said, these videos that I recorded, the first 5, were just made for the homies. So like I said, as the channel grew, the hate that I used to get for the channel was crazy, and it came from the old school dudes, the gatekeepers that people like to call them, from the guys that want you to fail 1,000,000 times and waste $1 million learning this stuff because that's what they did. So the old t-shirt forum, there was Reddits about my channel. There was so many people out here talking shit. And not because my information was invalid. They were mad that I was giving up the secrets. And the other people were mad about the way I was speaking in the videos, because at this time, YouTube was a polished up place. Not a lot of cussing. People was talking like news broadcasters. It's just a weird time in the t-shirt space. You have people like the t-shirt help desk laying out everything for people, every different print method, different ways to market. The one that stands out to me the most is the one one where he was using the little hang tags as business cards or something like that. Very, very old video, but that's one that sticks out to me because he laid everything out. This is where you could get your stuff printed. This is how you could use these hang tags as business cards. This is how you could buy the little hang tag gun off of Amazon or wherever. I think it was Uline or whatever his link was, but sharing all the information about what he's doing. Thought that was dope because not a lot of people were doing that. Channels like that were celebrated in the t-shirt forums. Channels like mine were bashed like crazy. And it's only because I was giving up the information that people wanted to keep a secret because they didn't want a lot of people to know. And I mean, if you went to the ISS trade show, well, it's called Impressions now, but back then it used to be called ISS. If you went to ISS, you would see all these vendors pushing transfers. A lot of them pushing stock transfers, but there were a lot of the companies, especially the big companies, that were pushing transfers. That's where I learned mostly about this kind of stuff, was just getting samples and like, oh, all you got to do is heat press that on. All right, cool. Do a little bit more research and find out what the process is. Oh, it's screen printed onto this transfer sheet. All right, cool. Then I just figured out how to make it work for myself. But the way that I do everything is basically trial and error. But then when something really works, I just ride that thing out. So for myself, used to be a screen printer. Now I use transfers. It's because once I figured out transfers and how to make them work for myself, the profit was too crazy to give up. There's no way that I'm going to get away from it unless transfer costs ends up being something crazy. And like I said, back when I was buying them, there was $1 a transfer for a 19 by 13 sheet. Now it's a little bit more expensive, but not that crazy. But this is how I just ran my business. So when I'm sharing the information about transfers, blank t-shirts, where to buy the transfers, how to use gang sheets, what a gang sheet is, all of this information was supposed to be secret information, and I wasn't supposed to be sharing it with everybody. So those people were getting mad at me, bashing the channel, bashing the content that I was making because I'm giving up the secrets, I'm giving up the sources, I'm giving up the vendors, I'm giving up the price breaks. These guys were mad, man. So when I say I took the hits for a lot of the content creators now, because I know they don't experience a lot of that stuff, because I don't even think the t-shirt forums is around anymore. But I remember the first time I was looking on Reddit on the t-shirt and graphic designer subreddit forums, and then seeing my video and people talking a bunch of shit underneath it on me giving up the sources, on me giving up information. Who am I to be giving up the information to the public? First thing I did was jumped in the comments like, fuck you, you don't know who I am, blah blah blah. And I was going back and forth with people. Then I thought about it and, man, this internet shit is dumb. So all I did was, oh, you don't like the way I talk? Well, I'm speaking to somebody that speaks like me. I'm not going to change the way I speak to keep you happy. I'm going to just keep doing what I do. Oh, you don't like the information that I'm sharing? Well, I'm sharing this information to the person that's just like me trying to come up. And that's how the channel's been ran since it started. Never switched anything up, stayed true to who I am, and kept it moving. That's it. The information that I share on this channel has not changed one bit. I only talk about the stuff that I use for my own business. I talk about the ups and downs of this business, but I can only speak about it from my business. I don't know what anybody else does. I don't know what the next person does. I don't care what the next person does. I only talk about what works for me and what doesn't work for me. Since I've been on here, I've talked about the same heat press, talked about the same transfers, talked about the same t-shirts. Nothing's changed. My marketing strategy's been the same. My production process is still the same. My design process is still the same. It's because it works for me. There's a lot of people that get mad that I use Photoshop and then I put it into Illustrator and vector it to send it out. Why don't you do everything in Illustrator? This is just my process. This is what works for me. If it doesn't work for you, fine by me. But I'm comfortable on Photoshop. That's how I do majority of the stuff that I need to do. And I know the mere basics on Illustrator. So if I could create something in Photoshop really fast, pop it into Illustrator, live trace it, be able to separate it for the printer, easy call. But if that doesn't work for you, does that mean my process is bad? No, this is just what works for me. This is what I'm fast at. This is what I'm efficient at. I'm not going to change up just because you don't agree with it. I'm going to keep doing what works for myself. So like I said, man, I'm not the standard YouTube guy. I don't do any collabs. You guys don't see me on other people's channels. I never had to use somebody else's channel to get ahead and use their following to leverage my own following. I just made videos talking to the camera about t-shirt related stuff, and that's it. I cuss in a lot of my videos. Sometimes it just slips out. I try to filter myself as I'm speaking, but sometimes it just slides out, and if it does, fuck it. That kind of stuff hurts my AdSense. I turn down a lot of brand deals. Some of them come with some pretty big checks, but I would hate to mislead anybody that watches my channel that's been getting down with my channel from the beginning, and I just start offering a bunch of crazy stuff because that doesn't fit within the channel and what I've built it on. You guys know I use a Heat Press Nation signature press. when there was a heat press shortage and I was in need of a press, I didn't show all the presses that I went through to get to the Ricoma because I don't need to bash any other company's press. If I don't use it, I just don't use it, and I don't talk about it. But I talk about the ones that I use. I still use the Ricoma now, but I let you guys know why I bought it. I was in the market for a signature press. They were all sold out for a long time. I needed a press. So I started to use a bunch of these different companies' presses, and I bought them all. The company didn't send it to me. They didn't say make a video about this. Nah, I just bought them all. I used the Ricoma because the Ricoma is the one that held up out of all the other presses. And on top of that, I got another signature press, the 16x20. The volume in this shop has grown over these last couple years like crazy. Adding additional presses just means that we have that much more work coming in. But I turned down a lot of brand deals from heat press companies that want to send me their press so I can make videos about them, because this channel is not just about reviewing equipment. This channel is about showing you what works for my business, the equipment I use for my business, why I chose that equipment, and why I use what I use. Same goes for transfers. Transfer companies come and go. New companies pop up, old companies die out. Nature of the business. I can't keep these companies in business. I have no investment in them. There's no amount of transfers I could buy from certain companies that's going to keep them in business. So if a company goes down, so be it. If a new company pops up, I'll test them out. But what I do is I don't test them out with, like, I don't go and say, hey, I'm Big Brando from YouTube, can I get some transfers? I use my shop's name, which nobody knows the name of my shop besides my clients, and I go through the process privately, meaning just like a regular customer, I'll order some samples from the shop's name. So then that way that transfer company doesn't give me any special treatment. That way that company is going to send me exactly what they send a normal customer, not somebody on YouTube. I need to know that process, because if you give the content creator the special treatment, then the content creator only knows the special treatment. So when he has to relay that message to his following, now the content creator's like, oh, well, you know, this company flew me out and I did the tour and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what it looks like on the back end when you order your transfers. I don't know what it looks like when you get the transfers in the mail, because they overnight it to me or whatever. They get that special treatment. So for myself, I like to order a lot of these samples from the shop's name, so then that way I can test them out and understand how they interact with the customer, so I know if I want to use that company, if I want to speak about that company in a video. So that's what I do. New companies pop up, I order samples for those transfers, I test them out. If I like them, I use them. If I don't like them, I just don't use them. This channel isn't based around bashing a bunch of companies. I'll never say anything bad about other companies, because that's not my place here. If I don't agree with the company, if I don't like the company's service, I just don't use them. I don't need to talk about them. I don't need to explain why. I just don't use them. The companies that I do use and that I'm happy with and that I make a lot of money with, those are the ones that I talk about. I use this heat press because it's been working for the last 10, 15 years. I use these transfers because they hold up to 50, 70 washes. I use these transfers because of this price and this size gang sheet. I use this blank t-shirt because I could get my hands on them the quickest. This is how I run and operate my business. That's what this whole channel was built on. That's why it's crazy to me to think that 100,000 people seen one video of mine and said, man, this guy looks like he might know what he's talking about. I'll subscribe to his content. That's what's crazy to myself, because I feel like the way I speak, I'm speaking to a very small group of people. When I make these videos, I'm making these videos to the guys that are just like me and the women that are just like me. The person that can't consume information if it's not spoken to them the same way that they speak. I talk a lot of shit. I cuss in a lot of my videos. I say certain things because it makes sense to myself. And I'm hoping it makes sense to, like I said, a small group of people out there that talk just like me. That's who I'm speaking for, because when I watch some of these videos that are polished up, that are talking in terminology that I don't understand, that information's going right over my head. And I'm not asking anybody to dumb down their information so I can understand, but I make my information available to the person that thinks like me, that learns like me. That's who I'm speaking for. That's who I make these videos for. So if you want to know how to create t-shirts from home, how to sell some t-shirts and do it without breaking the bank, this is the channel for yourself. This channel right here will help you out. So if you talk like me, look like me, have the same background as me, share the same stories, share the same upbringing, this channel is made for you. So I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody for this thing. which is crazy because this thing's been sitting on the floor for I don't know how long. And everybody was hitting me up like, what are you gonna do for 100K? What are you gonna do for this? What are you gonna do for that? Do you have something special planned? I didn't have nothing planned. I didn't even know you were supposed to do something like this and announce it and show this thing off until I started seeing other content creators do it, and then everybody asking me, and then YouTube says, all right, show your unboxing. I'm like, what? When I got this thing in the mail, I opened it up. Me and my family looked at it, was like, damn, that's crazy. And then I put it in the box and I put it away. So it took me a few weeks, maybe a month or so, to get it here so I could record a video about it. So this is the video. I don't even know if any of the information shared in this video is helpful or anything, or maybe it just gives you a little backstory on the channel, which is cool, I guess. But when I edit this thing down, I'll see if it actually makes any sense to even upload it. But I appreciate everybody, appreciate you guys for this thing, but I really appreciate the people that takes my information and applies it to their own business to better their situation. That's what I do this stuff for, alright? I want to see everybody win. If you made it through this video this long, leave a random emoji, don't care what it is, just so I know somebody watched this thing all the way through, alright? But I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you for the 100K subscriber plaque and getting the 100K subscribers even on YouTube, which is crazy. But I appreciate everybody, alright? Follow me on Instagram if you wanted to, Big Brando TV. Catch you guys on the next one, man. Yeah.